Well, with a possible decline in mango yields this season, the tendency among sellers to ripen the fruit quickly using chemicals is on the rise. This is an effort to bring the fruit quickly to the market and then make some money. Now, News9 team carried out a sting operation to find out what chemicals are used to ripen the mangoes. The details will leave you quite shocked. Take a look.
The mango season is not as pleasant as you would want it to be. In spite of your taste buds yearning for the variety of mangoes found in the country, the scare regarding the king of fruits still haunts the average Indian, who is worried to take it to his dinner table. The priority is always to choose sweet, naturally ripened fruits to avoid health hazards. However, the choice is between shunning the fruit or having poisoned ones. You're buying artificially ripened mangoes. Civic authorities usually keep a vigil to prevent unhealthy practices. When it comes to food, they're supposed to keep an eye over food adulteration. This time, around sachets of ethylene were found in mango cartons sold by vendors at fruit markets. While they use calcium carbide to ripen mangoes, horticulture experts say that using the chemical is injurious to health as it may lead to cancer. Experts have cautioned mango lovers to be careful while buying the fruit and have suggested consumption of the naturally ripened fruit. Calcium carbide is a carcinogen. Calcium carbide reacts with the moisture emanated by the respiration of the fruit. It liberates a gas called acetylene, which helps in ripening the fruit. This gas is carcinogenic, an agent that has the ability to alter human cells into cancer cells, according to agri-scientists. Though mango sellers have been advised to use ethyl, which is safer to ripen mangoes, they do not follow it and are ready to sell the poisonous fruits to you. Sellers use poisonous carbide because it's cheap. The ethylene gas liberated by applying ethyl helps ripen any fruit. Since it is costly, sellers go for calcium carbide. Experts have explained that calcium carbide leads to skin allergies and rashes, and at times can also cause skin cancer. Since most of the fruits procured from the market are artificially ripened, the only way to skim the carbide content is to wash the fruits properly. Admitting that it will be difficult for a layman to detect the application of calcium carbide in fruits, experts suggest that the government take steps to check the use of the harmful chemical for ripening fruits. Fruit growers made aware of the dangers. Experts have also said efforts are being made to sensitize fruit growers and sellers on the dangers of using chemicals to ripen fruits. It is punishable under law. They are being encouraged to go for natural ripening, but still traders use calcium carbide, which is punishable under the law. The authorities should take action against those found using calcium carbide for ripening mangoes. The only issue is that, like a number of other fruits, mango is artificially ripened in a lot of cases. This adulteration results in perfect-looking mangoes that don't deliver flavor and harm us in the long run. News9 tries to get to the bottom of the issue. News9 team visited a few markets in Bengaluru and came across some people openly using chemicals to ripen the raw mangoes. Our team came across mango sellers using calcium carbide in carton boxes where raw mangoes were being stored. Look at how they are using the carbide powder without any remorse, even though they know that it will poison the people who buy the fruit. Even without a pinch of conscience, they are ready to sell the mangoes to you, knowing fully well it is poisoned. These mangoes will make its way to several dinner tables, where it will be served to children as well. You have no way of knowing that what you are being served is slow poison. We also saw people spraying the chemical on the fruits so it ripens faster. It appeared to be a very common practice without taking into account the health hazards. News9 has made an effort to make people aware of the unhealthy practice of the mango sellers at the cost of the consumer's health. The mango sellers are so used to ripening mangoes artificially that they are least concerned about its disastrous effect on health.
ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ರೈಪನಿಂಗ್ ಅದು ಕಷ್ಟಕರವಾದ ವಿಷಯ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಏನಂದರೆ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಅಂದರೆ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ಲಾಗಿ ಮೆಚ್ಯೂರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದನ್ನು ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಥಿಲೀನ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಎಥಿಲೀನ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಅದು ರೈಪನ್ ಆಗ್ತದೆ. ಆದರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಒಂದೇ ಸಾರಿ ರೈಪನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ನೈಸರ್ಗಿಕವಾಗಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಹುಲ್ಲಿನ ಇದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಸಿ ಇಡ್ತಿರೋದು ಹಳೆಯ ಮೆಥಡ್, ಪಾರಂಪರಿಕವಾಗಿರೋದು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಎಥಿಲೀನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ರೈಪನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಎಥಿಲೀನ್ ಈಸ್ ಎ ಸೇಫ್ ಎಂಜೈಮ್. ಅದೊಂದು ಎಂಜೈಮ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸಿಯಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಅದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಎನ್ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ.
We will also tell you how to find out the difference between naturally ripened mangoes and the artificially ripened ones. Ways to find out artificially ripened fruit. Artificially ripened mangoes, unlike naturally ripened ones, will not have a good aroma. Artificially ripened mangoes will have yellow outer skin, but the tissue inside will not be ripe. Artificially ripened mangoes will be dry and less juicy compared to naturally ripened ones, which would have sucked enough water from the tree. Fruits that have a uniform color are more likely to have been artificially ripened. It is suggested to wash the fruit thoroughly. Keep it under running water for a few minutes so the chemical gets washed away.
ಅಂದರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಕಾರ್ಬೈಡ್ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಎ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್, ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾರ್ಸಿನೋಜೆನಿಕ್. ಆ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಕಾರ್ಬೈಡನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹಣ್ಣಿಗೆ ಬಣ್ಣ ಬರೆಸಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾರಾಟ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದು ಆರೋಗ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಕಾರ್ಸಿನೋಜೆನಿಕ್ ಅಂದರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಕಾರ್ಬೈಡ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾರ್ಸಿನೋಜೆನಿಕ್. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಅದು ರದ್ದುಪಡಿಸಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಆದರೂ ಅದನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕನ್ವೀನಿಯೆಂಟ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಏನಂದರೆ ದೇ ಹಾರ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್, ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಬೈ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಟ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಟು ದಟ್ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್, ಈಗ 2-3 ದಿವಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಲರ್ ಬಂದುಬಿಟ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ನೈಸರ್ಗಿಕವಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ನಾರ್ಮಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಬರುವ ಪರಿಮಳ ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
Buying mangoes during off-season, not preferable. It's better to avoid buying mangoes during off-season as they are more likely to be artificially ripened. Experts have also suggested that it is better not to buy mangoes till the end of April, which is when the actual season kicks in. Food safety teams conducting elaborate checks. But amid concerns over the use of chemicals, harmful ones, for ripening mangoes, teams of food safety officers are keeping a track of the mangoes landing up at markets and are collecting samples of the fruit suspected to have been chemically ripened. They are sent for laboratory for tests.
ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಕಾರ್ಬೈಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅದೊಂದು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಲು. ಅದನ್ನು ಈ ಮಾವಿನ ಹಣ್ಣು ಸೀಸನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರ ಪುಡಿಯನ್ನು ಹಣ್ಣಿನ ಮೇಲೆ ಲೇಪನ ಮಾಡಿ ಶೀಘ್ರವಾಗಿ 1-2 ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹೀಟಾಗಿ ಬಂದು ಅದು ಹಣ್ಣಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ದೇಹದ ಮೇಲೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ದುಷ್ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಬೀಳ್ತದೆ. ಅವು ಸಡನ್ನಾಗಿ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟಾಗಿ ಕೆಂಪುಗೆ ಅಥವಾ ಹಳದಿ ಬಣ್ಣಕ್ಕೆ ತಿರುಗಿ ಹಣ್ಣಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಒಳಗಡೆ ಹುಳುಗಳಿದ್ರೂ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಸತ್ತೋಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಆಗಿ ಒಂಥರ ಕಳ್ತ ಹಣ್ಣು ಥರ ಕಾಣ್ಬೋದು ಉಳ್ಕಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಮಾಮೂಲು ಕಾಯಿಗಳು ಬೇಗ ಹಣ್ಣಾಗ್ತವೆ, ಒಳಗಡೆ ರುಚಿ ಅಷ್ಟಾಗಿರೋಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಾಗಿ ಹಣ್ಣಾಗಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹಾಕಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಹೀಟ್ಗೆ ಅದು ಹಣ್ಣಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಅದು ಸ್ಕಿನ್, ಮಾವಿನ ಹಣ್ಣಿನ ಚರ್ಮ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಸಿಪ್ಪೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದು ಹೆಣಗೆಂಪು ಅಥವಾ ಹಳದಿ ಬಣ್ಣಕ್ಕೆ ತಿರುಗಿರ್ತದೆ.
The seizure of samples suspected to be ripened with chemicals like calcium carbide will be intensified during the ensuing mango season in the wake of recent guidelines issued under the Food Safety and Standards Act. If harmful chemicals like calcium carbide are found to have been used for artificial ripening, the guilty will be liable for punishment. Use of calcium carbide is banned. The use of calcium carbide for ripening fruits is banned, and the offence carries a prison term ranging from 6 months to life and a fine ranging from 1 lakh rupees to 10 lakh rupees. The jurisdictional police can also arrest the offenders.
Well, the mango sellers resort to artificial ripening of the fruit to make profits in the beginning of the season. But the use of chemical reduces as the season progresses. We will now tell you what else the mango growers do to make profit at the cost of your health. Take a look.
According to an investigation, about 60% of the mangoes harvested early in the season are treated with calcium carbide. The use of the chemical declines as the season progresses. Sources in Horticulture Department said farmers and traders resort to early harvesting to avoid a glut, which leads to a decline in prices. Mango growers advised to use harmless chemicals. Farmers have been advised by the department to use ethylene, which is safe for ripening the fruit.
ಬಹುಶಃ ಈ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಕಾರ್ಬೈಡ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಆರೋಗ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಭಾಳ ಹಾನಿಕರ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಪೇಯ್ನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಕರುಳಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ದುಷ್ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಲಿವರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ದುಷ್ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಆಗ್ತದೆ ತಿನ್ನೋದ್ರಿಂದ. ಒಟ್ಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಡೀ ದೇಹದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ದುಷ್ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಕಣ್ಣಿಗೂ ಒಂಥರ ದುಷ್ಪರಿಣಾಮ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಭಾಳ ದೀರ್ಘವಾಗಿ ಸೇವನೆಯಿಂದ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಈ ಸಡನ್ನಾಗಿ ಆಗುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಸಡನ್ನಾಗಿ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ಸ್ ಪೇಯ್ನ್ ಬರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಹೊಟ್ಟೆ ನೋವು ಬರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಬೇದಿ ಆಗುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ವೇ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಲಿವರಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈಜೆಷನ್ನು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ.
It is in the form of a starchy powder which slowly releases ethylene gas, which causes mangoes and other fruit to ripen. The gas chambers are often used to ripen fruits. However, there is no clarity on the safety of these sachets. It has also been suggested to the government that they provide farmers and traders the facility for poor harvest management, like cold storage with ethylene ripening facilities. Authorities have warned people over chemical use. The Association of Food Scientists and Technologists in Bengaluru has sought to caution people that harmful chemicals are being used to ripen a large quantity of mangoes.
ಅತಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೆಂಪು ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಹಳದಿ ಬಣ್ಣಕ್ಕಿರ್ತದೆ. ಅವು ಒಂಥರ ಆಕರ್ಷಿತವಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಮಾವಿನ ಹಣ್ಣಿನ ಚರ್ಮ ನೋಡಿದರೆ, ಆ ಸಿಪ್ಪೆ ನೋಡಿದರೆ. ಸೊ ಮೊದಲೇ ನೀವು ಅದನ್ನು ಪರಿಶೀಲನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತು ಹಣ್ಣು ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋರ ಹತ್ರ ಕೇಳಬೇಕು, ಇದು ಪೌಡ್ರ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಹಣ್ಣು ಮಾಡಿದಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಹಣ್ಣು ಮಾಡಿದಿರೋ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ನಾವು ಹೇಳೋದೇನೆಂದರೆ, ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯಾರೋ ಪರಿಚಯ ಇದ್ದರೆ ಮಾವಿನಕಾಯಿಗಳನ್ನ ನೀವು ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಥವಾ ನೀವು ಯಾರು ಕೊಡೋರು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೀವೇ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಲ್ಲು ಅಥವಾ ಯಾವುದರಲ್ಲೂ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹುಲ್ಲು ಅಥವಾ ಗೋಣಿ ಚೀಲದಲ್ಲಿಟ್ಟು ಸ್ವಾಭಾವಿಕವಾಗಿ ಅದು ಉಷ್ಣಾಂಶಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಬೇಗ ಹಣ್ಣಾಗ್ತದೆ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ತಿನ್ನೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಉತ್ತಮ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ.
Experts have said that the use of chemical carbide is extremely hazardous because it contains traces of arsenic and phosphorus. Consumption of such artificially ripened mangoes can cause mouth ulcers, gastric problems, diarrhea, and skin rashes. Several raids have been carried out by authorities. There have been many raids carried out in shops which trade mangoes by bringing the fruit from several parts of the state and supplying them to the local traders in the city. Food safety officials said that owners of godowns brazenly violated norms despite the advice and warning from the department before the commencement of mango season this year. Officials claimed that the majority of mango traders followed approved natural ripening methods, while few others indulged in the dangerous practice. Carbide stones are used in welding works. Carbide stones, which are meant for welding works, is easily available to buy from some welding lathes. Fruit merchants fret, saying they have no option. But fruit merchants say that they have no other option, as mangoes would otherwise need at least 3 months to mature on the trees and more weeks for ripening after they are plucked. The fruit merchants also say that if they followed the natural process, the market would be flooded with the fruit all at once and lead to a price crash. The early lot cannot be ripened without the use of carbon carbide, they contended. The horticulture department does allow farmers to use acetylene gas to ripen the fruits artificially, aware that if allowed ripening naturally, all the fruit would arrive after May, causing a glut in the market. Chemicals must be avoided in the interest of health. So in the interest of public health, use of chemicals must be avoided. Chemicals are used not only to ripen mangoes but also bananas, oranges and chico. Another indicator is to squeeze juice out of the mango. A well-ripened mango may have lots of juice in it. However, artificially ripened mango may have little or no juice. Hope the government will take serious note of what's happening to consumers. A Newsline report.
Well, the big question that we are asking is, are you aware of the poisonous mangoes that you buy from the market? Find out from our experts how to choose the right mangoes, and you can call us on the numbers that are flashing on the screen. You can also send us your views on our WhatsApp number, which is 9980945138. And to discuss about this in our studios, we have a good panel of guests with us. We have Dr. Shobha, who's a clinical dietitian. We have Mamta Mishra, who's a chief nutritionist. We have Pratibha, who's a housewife and former Mrs. Asia. And we have Veerabhadra Swami, who is from the Raita Sangha of Kolar district, who's the president of the Raita Sangha. And we have S.K. Srinivas, who's a food safety expert. Now, let's start with the food safety expert himself. How dangerous is calcium carbide as a chemical when it's mixed with something like this?
Yeah, I'll explain the background. First thing is ethylene. The gas that causes ripening is ethylene. And ethylene is naturally found in most fruits, many fruits. So left by themselves, they'll ripen on their own. So what happens, as they explained, if you let the fruit ripen, it gets too late. So they pluck it where it's still raw. This applies to mangoes and bananas and other things. As per the food safety regulations, you are allowed to use ethylene gas. There's a regulation 2.3.5. Ethylene in gaseous form is permitted for up to a limit of 100 milligram per kg for artificial ripening of fruits. It's legally permitted. However, under certain conditions, gaseous form with a in an enclosed space under certain conditions. Now, this infrastructure is expensive, for most small farmers. So, calcium carbide has been around for almost 15 years, I think. Now, calcium carbide does not, when released, exposed to water.
It's an industrial chemical, right?
It is. It's as you see, it's welding. It's made for welding, and they use for industry. Basically as a source of acetylene. Acetylene is a gas. It is not. It is similar to ethylene. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same. Ethane, ethylene, acetylene. There is a hydrocarbon series. Okay. Now, acetylene also can cause ripening of certain fruits.
All right.
Now, it is the problem with calcium carbide. When exposed to moisture, it releases acetylene. gas. Okay, by itself it's a powder. That's why it's used for welding, and they even have the acetylene lamps and so on. Now acetylene is a deadly poison. It's not toxic, it's a poison. I will not use the word it's a deadly poison. It can cause damage at the cellular level. It can even alter DNA, when ingested over a period of time. Therefore, inducing cancer and God knows all, hepatotoxic, nephrotoxic, the toxic to liver, kidneys, name it. Every part of the body can potentially, and of course, it leads to leukemia eventually, over a period of time. Now, the thing is, it's cheap, calcium carbide. It's a powder. So, it's unlike ethylene gas, which requires all their infrastructure, they use calcium carbide, It's just a powder, and nowadays you get from China in small packets. 2 rupees 25 paise per packet.
That's how cheap the poison is.
I checked up, on India. It's available on India Mart, on the internet.
All right.
I checked up before coming here. So they just the advantage with see in the case of ethylene gas, you require a full chamber and prolonged exposure.
The small sachets you put in that
drop
container.
it and ship it off. So it releases acetylene gas over a period of time.
No, where does this process start? Does it start from the farmer's level or starts from the vendor's level?
That is we don't know. See, most farmers like this gentleman, they're not aware of this, that it happens, I think, at the wholesaler or probably at the retail end, because see, from the wholesaler to the retailer, it's advantageous to have the fruit raw,
Yeah, it is. That's what because storage, space, all those things
at
come
the
in. Time
retail
factor.
end, he gets a raw fruit, Now he has to sell it by next day. So within 24 hours it will ripen. It will ripen. But the problem is it's a deadly poison. Ethylene is okay, it's not really harmful, and that too, the big catch, I have tried to do the analysis myself, calcium carbide. In the lab, how difficult it is, the problem is acetylene, calcium carbide releases acetylene gas, right? And acetylene being a gas will evaporate. It's very difficult,
to have any
very
traces
difficult.
such
You can do it by a gas chromatography mass spectrum, which we have done. But then that presumes that there are some traces left in the flesh of the fruit. Because on the skin it comes off, it diffuses into the fruit.
All right.
So it's difficult to extract it from that, trace amounts, So what's left behind? There are other techniques. Some gas detection tubes are available, which actually can be used.
But I mean, when it diffuses into the fruit, is there a possible that you can find some other sort of chemicals that would say that acetylene has penetrated?
What happens is calcium carbide. Also, there are some contaminants that come along with industrial calcium carbide.
All right.
Usually it's arsenic and phosphorus.
So you'll find those.
So there is an indirect way of trying to detect. If you can't detect calcium carbide.
So if calcium carbide as a chemical is not bad enough, you have arsenic and
in
phosphorus
addition
also
to that,
joined into it. Because even that chemical is not pure what you get. Okay.
So there are methods by which, we can't detect acetylene. I have done it. We can do it. But you require a couple of crores, to invest a lab and stuff like that. The thing is, you can detect arsenic. So indirect, if arsenic is there, it is a presumption that it could.
Calcium, it came from a calcium carbide. And in fact, let's get the farmer in the room to actually speak about what's actually happening. Veerabhadra Swami avare iga ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಇದು ಶುರು ಆಗ್ತದೆ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಸಿಯಂ ಕಾರ್ಬೈಡ್ ಈ ಹಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕೋದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಆಗ್ತದ ನೀವು ವೆಂಡರ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಹೋಲ್ಸೇಲ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ ಆವಾಗ ಆಗ್ತದ ಯಾವಾಗ ಇದು ಈ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹಾಕ್ತಾರೆ ಈ ಹಣ್ಣಿನ ಮೇಲೆ
ಇಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರು ಯಾರು ಈ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಇದುವರೆಗೂ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಆದರೂ ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರು ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಪಟ್ಟಣಕ್ಕೆ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಮಾರೋದು ಇದೆ ಬಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹುಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿ ಮಾರ್ತಾರೆ ಹೊರತು ಯಾರು ಈ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಮಾರಿ ಹಣ್ಣು ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಇವ್ರು ಏನಿದ್ರೂ ವರ್ತಕರು ದಲ್ಲಾಳಿಗಳು ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಟನ್ಗಟ್ಟಲೆ ಅವ್ರು ತೊಗೊಂಡೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ನು ಈ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಮಾಗಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಶೇನಿಂಗ್ ಬರೋಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಪಟ್ಟಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಲೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದು ನೋಡೋಷ್ಟೊಳಗೆ ತೆಗೆದು ತಿನ್ನಬೇಕು ಆ ಥರ ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಆವಾಗಲೇನಾಗ್ತದೆ ತಗೊಂಡು ಅವರು ಆಯುಸ್ಸು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಾರೆ ಈ ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರು ಮಾರುವಂಥ ಹಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಅವರು ದಲ್ಲಾಳಿಗಳು ತೊಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಮಾರಿರೋ ಹಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಟ್ಯಾಲಿ ಮಾಡಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರು ಮಾರುವಂಥ ಹಣ್ಣು ಮೇಲೆ ಪೌಡ್ರ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಅದು ನಿಜವಾದ ಹಣ್ಣಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ ಅದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಟೇಸ್ಟು ಇರ್ತದೆ ಇದು ಎಷ್ಟು ತಿಂದ್ರೇನು ಟೇಸ್ಟ್ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಇದು
ಕಲರೇ ಇರುತ್ತದೆ
ಒಂಥರ ಈ ಹಸು ಬೂಸ ತಿಂದಂಗೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಇದಷ್ಟೇ ಅದೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ನಾವು ಮಾರುವಂಥ ಹಣ್ಣು ಅದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಬೈರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಕ್ಕಿ
ಅಲ್ಲ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾ ಹೀಗೆ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು
ಈಗೀಗ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರು ಕೂಡ ಕೆಲವರು ತೋಟ ಎಲ್ದಿರೋರು ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ತಗೊಂಡು ತಿಂದಿರೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಬಟ್ ನಮಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹಾಕೇ ಮಾರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ನು ಇತ್ತೀಚಿನ ದಿನಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ನಮಗೂ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ವಿರೋಧ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನಾವು ಯಥೇಚ್ಛವಾಗಿ ಮಾವು ಬೆಳೆಯೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಆಸ್ಪದನೇ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಹಣ್ಣುಗಳಾಗಿ ತೋಟಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ಒಬ್ಬನ 5 kg 10 kg ಮಾವಿನ ಕಿತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಂದ್ರೇನು ಯಾರು ಕೇಳಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ನು ತಿನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಿತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾನೆ ತಗೊಂಡೋಗ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಇದಿರ್ತದೆ ಅಂಥ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಹೊರತು ತೊಗೊಂಡೋಗ್ಬಿಡಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆನೇ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಹಣ್ಣುಗಳು ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಉದುರ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಅಂಥ ಹಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಮನುಷ್ಯರು ತೊಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ ತಿಂದರೆ ನಮಗೂ ಇನ್ನೂ ಸಂತೋಷನೇ. ಆದರೆ ಈ ದಲ್ಲಾಳಿಗಳಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ದುಡ್ಡು ಪರ್ಪಸ್, ಅವರು ದುಡ್ಡು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಏನನ ಆಗಲಿ, ಜನರು ಯಾರನ್ನ ಸಾಯಲಿ, ರೈತರು ಯಾರನ್ನ ಸಾಯಲಿ, ಅವ್ರು ದುಡ್ಡು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅವರು ಈ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಹಾಕಿ ಹಣ್ಣುಗಳು ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾರೋದನ್ನು ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತ್ರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಹಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಯಾರು ತಿನ್ನಬಾರ್ದು.
Well, Pratibha, now to buy a fruit like this, it's considered the king of fruits. So it's supposed to be the big delicacy on the table. After hearing what the food expert had to say and what the farmer had to say, are you worried that you are technically or probably, if you buy a fruit like this, you are actually poisoning your family indirectly?
Worried is a very small word to be used.
All right.
Shocked to the core, you can say. Because we love mangoes.
And,
We've loved
India
mangoes.
is a country which has a lot of people who love the variety of mangoes that we have.
It's just not that. We have grown up with that passion to eat mangoes. We wait the whole year for the season to come. And I don't know if most of you all know, but when we were kids, we used to eat mangoes right from the tree. Because we used to climb the trees and eat it. Nobody even told us to wash those mangoes then. Then slowly the trend came in saying that it's chemical. What chemicals, we had no idea. They just said chemicals are there, wash and eat. It's not just for mangoes, it's for everything, for vegetables, even greens that we buy. So we started saying, okay, let's wash and eat. Sometimes they said wash it with hot water because there's a lot of wax content or something. But that was a trend a couple of years back. Then now suddenly when we're hearing that our most favorite food is not just skin. I mean, it's not on the outer layer, it's deep inside.
the
So
food
even
itself.
if I wash, the chemical or the negativities are still inside when I eat it. So what we thought when we ate mangoes and we had slight diarrhea, we thought it's too much of eating the fruit, is now we are afraid that there is some other poison inside, and it shakes us to the roots because we love mangoes.
Did you know that it was not only calcium carbide? Because I was surprised. We were focusing only on calcium carbide. But that calcium carbide itself comes in an impure form with other chemicals added to it, like arsen.
That's a fun in life, right? That's a fun in life, right? Even adulteration is adulterated. But it's the most adulteration, because arsenic is like, we consider it as a direct poison, right? That is death in terms. And if we are fed little by little of arsenic, just imagine what happens to us.
So you don't have any trust in going and buying anything from the market anymore?
I would still love to buy, pluck it from a tree and eat it. But as the farmers also are explaining that a lot of chemical is going right into the roots of the trees. So even the natural mango that's coming, we don't know how pure it is.
All right. So after seeing all this, would you still go to the market?
I still love mangoes.
So you will still buy?
I still love mangoes, yeah.
You will still buy?
Still buy it, but now there's a lot of caution that goes into buying, because when we learn all these things.
Because now it's probable that you'll be looking whether it's organic, it is.
See,
from all
people
those
say it's organic, but we really don't know how much true organic is. But we need to go into depth and find out what a natural ripe fruit looks like, what it smells like. Because if you know mango, if a real ripe mango was there in this room, everyone would be smelling it by now, because it's amazing aroma that it gives out. Now you need to see that natural aroma that comes with the mango and the coloring. They say chemically ripened mangoes have patches of green in them, and though natural mangoes also have yellow and green, but there is a clean blend of those two colors in the natural ripened mangoes. So these are the basic things when you're buying, you see. But even if you cannot detect them and you buy them and go at home, we do a lot of procedures like cleaning procedures. Generally we are told that to soak them in salt water for 15-20 minutes or half an hour, then again wash them in normal water, and then eat, to at least take off the upper layer of whatever chemicals are there. Interior, what is absorbed is absorbed. We can't help it.
We can't help it. Well, let's get the nutritionists in the room now. We have Mamta Mishra, who's in fact joining us. Of course, you would be well versed with the nutrition aspect of it, but when poison is mixed along like this, where you can't distinguish it, what are the effects when it comes to absorption of these chemicals into the human body?
I work very closely with FSSAI. I'm also a safety expert. So I'm not just looking at this as a problem. It's like, are we solving the right problem?
Are we solving the right problem?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So when you look at it, I would actually go back to the history. How did chemicals come into India? So it's more to do with the drought and the other problems that we had in the 1950s, which brought in the Green Revolution. So where we had to increase the crops, and then the crop rotation, like if you look at say even 100 years back, just in Karnataka, you had variety of cereals and pulses and vegetables. But today when you go to a supermarket next to your home, you will see that, you know, you are restricting yourself to just those 15, 17. Your food is either, you know, rice or rotis. Now it's multigrain, slightly millets have come in. Ragi, because of probably the last 1 year, maybe the Karnataka government has been promoting millets, and there's so-called, you know, that yeah, there is. But when you look at it, the amount of variety of, we had something called as black rice, which doesn't exist now. When you look at pulses, you know, how many people really go and buy a horse gram and cook at home? You don't. So obviously the demand on a farmer is that you give me this because that's what the customer wants. So you start growing. Where is the crop rotation? Obviously the soil is not going to be as nutritious as you want it to be. So the green revolution actually, I would say, has brought in something which has killed the versatile, yeah, the diversity that we had. Then came in the white revolution. So, you know, that was the next step. So the white revolution, you know, was great. I mean, you know, milk for everyone and everything. And when you look at it, the amount of oxytocin and the other things that came into it, where the cow had to be lactating. Can a woman think of lactating for the next 5 years or 3 years? Why should a cow lactate? You know, nobody is really thinking. And you know, one of my gurus, you know, Mr. Raghu, K.C. Raghu, is also always on the panel here. Like he says, cows are not allowed to walk just because, you know, assuming that the milk production will come down. So just restrict them, feed them so that they can milk. You know, so that's one thing which I thought was very, very not rightly done. The third was the rainbow revolution, which came in, and then again the same things happened. As a regulatory system, it's a huge responsibility on the government. When you introduce something into the market, you also have to ensure that you give the right awareness to the entire chain of events of people involved, that they're educated about what it is, you know, the harmful effects, what are the side effects and everything else. Now ethylene is great, this is the regulatory requirement, this is what you got to follow. Now how many farmers have been educated about it? You know, I was just giving the example that, for example, when you go home, your mother is pampering you, she's like, oh my god, you've come after so many days now, or maybe you're tired for the whole day and she wants to pamper you, and what will she do? She'll give you an extra roti. That's her way of, you know, saying that my child has to be nurtured and taken. So the farmers on the other front, when they are not educated about it, acha, DDT is going to help, my plant is going to survive, it's going to be free of insects and pests, let me pour a little more of it. You know, and when you look at it, when you go back in history, DDT was stopped long back.
A lot of countries have banned that.
In the 1960s, Rachel Carson, she's written a very beautiful book on the effects of DDT, and she died of cancer during this entire research. So the point is that when you are introducing something, you got to take responsibility of how that particular, you know, the entire thing is going to work out. It's like you introduced a soft drink with a high amount of sugar. Today, India children are addicted to high sugar, and when you want to withdraw it, children are like, you know, so used to it, and companies are so settled, they wouldn't want to withdraw. Today, after so many years, you know, companies are declaring that this is not for children consumption. What happens to the last 20 years that they were in the market? The point is, it is a huge responsibility that the government has to ensure that when you introduce something, you got to be taking care of those regulatory requirements, whether it's mangoes, whether it's something else.
Since you brought that regulatory aspect of it, it's very difficult to regulate over here, because as I was saying, where do you start from? Especially, we don't have a concept of farm to food plate. We don't have the quality checks from farm to food plate, because during that process, until it reaches your plate, it should be safe till it reaches your plate, is what the concept is in many countries. But here we don't have proper concept. You have random checkings happening. You have a random, once in a while you check and you find out one person, and that person is probably fined and left out. The kind of effort taken to bring this issue out is also not there. Regulatory bodies are not having penal powers that would, you know, try to impose some kind of rules on those people who are producing the food matter.
So, you know, I'd like to actually share this with everyone, that this is actually, it's gone much beyond this. You know, there was the Food Safety Act has been passed in 2006, 2012, the regulations came in, and last 2 years FSSAI has really jumped, I would say, boundaries. They're doing great work. And it's not easy to cover something which is such an unorganized sector. You can still say that some parts of the food industry is organized, but when you look at the farmers end, it's still not organized. So when the farmer is selling, he is selling like with a system wherein whether he is using DDT or whether he is using some other insecticide, pesticide which is allowed, not allowed, quantities and all that. The regulation of FSSAI as of now starts from the point receiving happens. So if I am receiving raw materials from a certain farmer, that's not covered. It's only from the time
from the vendor
from the time it gets into my you know, area of work. So if I have received mangoes, from there on the regulation comes in, and to the point that I am selling it to you as a consumer. So the food testing that we are talking about, there are around 170 plus labs which are NABL accredited, which are there in India, and now a lot more have got added on. In fact, they have even launched mobile labs right now in India. Already there are around 3 mobile labs which have been launched, and they are around in Maharashtra. Maharashtra is doing, I would say, a lot of work in this field where you know, the lab testing is compulsory twice a year.
So when it comes to mangoes, how does it work?
So it is required that...
Where do you fix it? Because once the vendor takes it, he takes it in bulk, raw mangoes taken in bulk and later ripened and given to retail markets, or he's the one who's facilitating the retail sale.
So the problem is, till the farmer, it is not covered FSSAI Act.
So from the vendor onwards,
it's... Yeah, only. So the problem here is, like for example, when we had this Maggi episode, the food was tested and they found lead in it. Now, the lead is not come in the industry, it has come from the raw materials itself, which is not covered. So, if you are going to kind of hold the mango pulp manufacturer, or you know, the guy who's probably making juice out of the pulp, you are actually addressing the wrong problem
that becomes
again.
Processed.
Yes.
It is, since this, so
yes.
Are you saying the rules from the food safety controllers would look at only processed food?
Right now it is. It doesn't touch the farmer, so that's the gap.
So now
which
these
is
vendors who are selling it, like in case the farmer sells it to the vendors will be selling, they are not covered under this.
No, they are
so
not.
That's a huge loophole.
That's a big gap, and educating the farmers would be very critical. So at this point, it's like you go buy chili powder from the market and it's like it's got the FSSAI mark on it, you know, you have the trademark and everything, and you bring it home. You still are not sure, even if with the mark, because the raw material which is coming, where the chilies are coming from, is not tracked. Traceability is not there.
No,
so this is a major concern, because the chain of events, like you were trying to say, farm to fork is not covered. It's only after it comes to production that, see, right now if you look at it, say 75% or 80% of what we are eating is actually processed. You're buying atta. No more people are not buying wheat and then milling and then eating. You know, you're buying processed food only. It's only the fruits and vegetables, which is like maybe 80%, I mean 20% to 25% of your daily consumption, which is untouched or you are not sure of. So they are covering this 80%, which is processed food.
So that means the food regulations only with regards to processed food. That's it. But this huge gap that is there, nobody's actually going to fill it at all.
So the problem is, it's like, you know, you're going and writing your 10th standard exam and you still haven't passed your 5th. So which is like a big gap. You might not, you wouldn't know why you failed, because somewhere that you haven't studied those chapters which were required.
Well, Mamta, I'll come back to you on that. Let's in fact get Dr. Shobha. Dr. Shobha, health aspects. We'll restrict to that, health aspects of such. Consumption of such poisonous mangoes or fruits which calcium carbide is used, what are the kind of health problems that we are looking at?
See, depending on the dose and other factors, like it would be age and health of the person also, and quantity consumption and frequency, all this matters when it comes to health effects. The harmful effects, when we take into consideration when it comes to calcium carbide, after consumption, whatever the additional compounds, like the other person mentioned here, like arsenic and phosphorus. So these can also have an harmful effect on the health. Starting once it enters into your gut, from there it is released into your blood. from the blood, it starts entering into every cell of the body. And the cell, including your HB, I mean to say your hemoglobin, that can get changed also. The form, the iron content can get changed. Usually in the blood it is present in ferrous form. It can get converted to ferric form also. Ferric form can be deposited into your HB.
Okay.
So that reduces your oxygen consumption into your body. Means the oxygen required by each cell, including your brain or anything, that will be reduced. The supply of oxygen to your cells will be reduced. And there can be DNA alteration which keeps happening within your body throughout. So that induces diseases because the DNA coding changes, and that gives a room to your oxidative damage plus diseases also. You can start from head to toe any number of diseases because of arsenic poisoning,
All right.
phosphorus poisoning, your calcium carbide poisoning, potassium nitrate poisoning, ethylene poisoning, anything overdose.
Ethylene gas is allowed is what they say,
Allowed, but the quantity, the percent, the exposure
again, there
time,
is a limitation to it.
all that can come into picture.
All right.
It's not like they spray it once, like we discussed in earlier session. It's not one time process it is done. It can be multiple times exposure. The amount of exposure and the quantity that presents and the quantity you consume over a period, that can have an impact on your health. It can be your brain cancer, or it can be your liver problems, toxicity like liver poisoning, kidney poisoning. If it is not excreted out of your body and it starts settling in your tissues, then again your lung poisoning. There are n number of problems which can come. It's not limited to one problem, but it depends on the dose exposed.
Now, we don't know what is the kind of or the amount of calcium carbide they're going to put around the mangoes. What we understand, in certain places they spray it around, and then after that they also put the sachets as well. So we don't know what. So it could be various doses in each mangoes in the same carton itself. So it will be unfortunate if someone actually, you know, gets those mangoes which are, you know, too overexposed as such.
It can be even 200 milligrams can have an impact, or it can be 2 grams also. It depends on your individual, your age, your health condition, your liver status, your renal condition, how best your body can remove that.
All right.
How good it is in processing
so
the
basically
toxic
this is slow poisoning, isn't it? Because as you say, what I understand from what you're trying to say is that when you consume these elements into your, I mean, these compounds and these calcium carbide, arsen or phosphorus, when you consume it, it goes to the cellular level, which and inhibits the cell's functions basically, which results in technical slow death, or you know what we call as
the alteration in your regular functioning of the bodies. So there are so many functions which happens within your body.
So what comes from the mango is technically this, and a lot of people don't understand that this is what it's leading to.
Definitely.
So the point is, you know, when you look at it as a nutritionist to add, I think Mr. Veera also will agree. So a lot of times when you have a heart attack and you're talking to the family, ಯಾರಿಗಾದ್ರೂ heart attack ಆಗಿ ನೀವು ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಸರ್ ನೆನ್ನೆ ತನಕ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗೇ ಇದ್ರು ಸರ್, ಕಾಫಿ ಕುಡಿದ್ರು, ತಿಂಡಿ ತಿಂದ್ರು, ಎಲ್ಲ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗೇ ಇತ್ತು, ಸಡನ್ ಆಗಿ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು, ಹೆಂಗಾಯ್ತೋ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. This is the way even educated people talk. You know, they don't realize that it is not all of a sudden nenne tanka chanagidu doesn't mean that you're actually fit, and the burden that your body goes to, not necessarily it might always be through a biochemical analysis that you would actually be able to stress. Now can I tell how stressed you are? It's very difficult. You know how you can probably look at your liver condition that yes, there's an extra burden which has come on, but the point is it is you know, so many problems that are coming together. It's not just the chemical that's coming from the you know, it's not coming from just mangoes. Your vegetable also has it. There's something else also which has it.
Even nowadays we see silver oxide being used for rice management.
All right.
They do add chemicals or pesticides under the rice grain so that they don't get worm infested.
Boric acid, very commonly used.
So many things are there.
So the point is,
just one thing. There are n number of chemicals used throughout this process.
So basically, the poor mango is just a symptom of what is happening across the.
It's one among the major.
See, today cancer is the number 3 problem in India. Number 1 is heart problem and diabetes, and number 3 is cancer. Actually, the number of cancer hospitals just in Bangalore that have come up in the last just 1 year, you actually can imagine the extent to which cancer cases have increased. So it's not going to help if you're going to solve a problem one at a time. It's a problem which requires a total foundation that has to be created and then addressed. It's like just picking up one mango. Mango is a national fruit of India, you know, and we are so proud
but the
of
question
it.
here again, how is it possible that the same farmers who tend to export these mangoes are very cautious about what is there on the mango skin, its pulp, everything? Only when it is being sold to Indians, there seems to be, okay, fine, anything could happen.
Because one is Indians are like chalta hai. So what? Are you going to die today? No. Chalega. Why not? You know? So
the quality check never happens in India.
No,
you go to
yeah.
the international
No, because
market.
I've heard about how
No,
cartons
here
of
even
mangoes
difference.
have been sent back from UK
So this-
because it didn't meet any
2 years back
their
there was a
food
ban on
regulation
Indian
systems.
fruits. 2 years back there was a ban on Indian
Indian fruits, yeah.
So here this organic
that makes a difference. Like
organic farming, like when we talk about, she's saying that okay, we pick up organic fruits. I'm sure sir would agree with me that organic means the last 3 years you would not have used any form of those banned chemicals which are to be there. And like for example, organic milk, that means the cow has grazed only on that particular grass which is free of those pesticides and insecticides and all those chemicals. After 3 years of thing, then the growth, the next, you know, thing that is going to come, the fruit or the vegetable or whatever, is considered organic. Like if I want to convert my land into an organic land, I need to follow this procedure. Now in India, so far, I mean, there are international regulatory, you know, bodies that are there which Indians go with. But the fact is, when you look at the FDA rejections that come, US FDA, I mean, they are one of the most vigilant, and they record everything, they publish online. It's a very transparent mechanism by which they work. So there you can see the number of rejections that happen. It's a huge amount of rejections that Indian foods go through.
The question of infrastructure, you know, especially this compound. No? See, madam, she was saying there are 170 food testing labs across India,
Yes, sir.
right, NABL certified, of which I can guarantee 80% of them would not be able to analyze it. They will not know how to do it.
No, they wouldn't know, and they wouldn't have the infrastructure to test that particular.
See, the problem with the CSC2,
I mean, you have an institution that is handicapped. That's what you're trying
that's
to
the
say.
whole problem. See, for example, pesticides.
the investment, the cost, the labor.
So till then, what does it happen? Like we
everything.
all sit and
Yeah, we'll discuss.
eat the poisonous mangoes and die? Is it? That's the...
Not really, not really. I think technology can play a very interesting role
I'll
here.
tell you what it is. See, for example, the 170 odd pesticides, you know, that are not supposed to be, they're easy, you know. We have done it. LCM and liquid chromatography, mass spectrum, we can do it. The methods are there. In the case of calcium carbide, this particular, as I told you, an acetylene gas, if I detect, see, it breaks down into calcium hydroxide and acetylene gas. If I detect calcium in the fruit, it can come from anywhere, and as such, it is not harmful.
All right.
So it has to be either.
So calcium you have to rule out.
Yeah,
because this is come as a compound. Calcium carbide, it's come
I can
out.
easily find out calcium, arsenic, and phosphorus using ICP or you know. Well, I don't want to get technical, but it's easy to find out. Acetylene is particularly difficult, you know, and this requires a very sophisticated instrumentation technique by which the acetylene is actually extracted from the flesh of the fruit in parts per million, 15 parts per million, very low amount. So what can the farmer do, right? Even at the food testing, the food safety department, what can they do unless they actually, the only way to catch the culprit is if they go on a raid and actually find packets of that chemical in the container. There is no other way. There is another way to detect acetylene by using gas detection tubes.
All right.
So that the technology has still not come to India, you know, right?
All right.
The best thing what I would suggest is, this is just my opinion, just make the chemical not available.
Make the chemical not
Not
available.
available.
Well, that we'll discuss about that, whether it's practical enough or not, because industrial use is also
won't
there.
happen, it won't happen.
We'll have to slip into a short break. On the other side, we will discuss about how common Bangaloreans like you and me have no clue about it, and we just understood that even the Food Regulatory Authority in this country has exempted or created a large loophole when it comes to agri products like mangoes. Well, what is going to be our fate? That's after the break. Well, we were discussing about mangoes and we're getting a lot of interesting insights about how dangerous these chemicals are. Ironically enough, a calcium carbide that is being used to ripen these fruits, well, that itself is not pure. You have arsen as well as phosphorus added to it and whatnot. And that itself is not pure. So you're not just consuming the carbide problems, you're also consuming all these unwanted chemicals along with that carbide that has been put on these fruits, and it creates that gas called acetylene, which is very similar to ethylene when it comes to chemical composition to a large extent, how they behave, and that is why they try to use it for ripening. And interestingly enough, well, that's the shocking part of it, there is no way to detect the acetylene, and therefore you don't know whether the calcium carbide has been used on these mangoes. But don't these mangoes actually give some kind of clue as to it's not ripened properly? Well, is that not a way to actually say that this is not a good fruit?
Actually, theoretically, yes. If you look at the fruit, as I said, if artificially the acetylene ripened fruits, not with ethylene, acetylene ripened fruits generally have a more uniform color and look glossy theoretically. And theoretically, a naturally ripened fruit or something ripened with ethylene gas, which is safe and legal, they say over a period of time it develops black spots and see, but these are not conclusive, you know.
All right.
The point
But
is,
I've noticed mangoes where one half of it is quite ripened. The other half is kind of, you know, still solid and it doesn't pack a punch at all.
that's what I'm saying. It is not conclusive, you know.
Conclusive,
You can suspect.
okay. You can suspect.
They also
yes.
say, see, it used to ripen bananas, for example, and it is known that acetylene ripened bananas using calcium carbide, generally the stems tend to be greenish, generally. But again, it's not conclusive. The only way, of course, is to test it in the lab, you know, which requires a lot of infrastructure. It's not possible on the field. The only other way is if you detect acetylene gas using those gas detection tubes.
Which is not that
Which is
available in this
it's not
country at all.
available. So it's basically, I would say, Ram Bharose, you know. It is no other way.
Trust in God.
That's all.
Hope we have a phone where we just scan it and we know it's
No, because
true
the
or
fact
no.
remains is that when they come to the shelves or when it comes to the market, whether it's a supermarket, to market or the small roadside vendor, it looks like there is no way that a consumer is able to understand whether this is poisoned or not.
That is the problem.
Of course, there is no way, there is no guarantee on it, there's no certification on it. As rightly pointed out, it's an unorganized sector, so the way it comes into the market is not regulated to a large extent. Because there are no regulations that look into these aspects, there is no way to protect yourself from this. Pratibha, after hearing all of them, still will you go buy mangoes? I know you like mangoes, but still will you go buy mangoes?
I know. You're going to make me eat mangoes theoretically now. What I meant was now we have to theoretically eat mangoes rather than practically eat mangoes. But as she said, it's not just mangoes. It's everything that we eat is coming somewhat related to this.
No, that's what like it's actually a cocktail of chemicals that we are looking at.
So what's your cocktail today?
Chemical wise, calcium carbide, ethylene, different, and
So what's your poison today actually? The
Ajay,
other
what is
way
the
around?
poison today?
So we can give names so many. No, it's
But
love
as a
something.
consumer, aren't you worried? Like there is no way you can detect. Even you don't have detection kits for it. There is no organization
That is
working
what I
towards
was
it.
saying. Hope we had a machine where we just scanned it and it would say it's ripened naturally. Yeah, it is artificial, something like that. But yeah, unlucky we don't have anything like that.
Even if we did have, we do have it. Gas detection tubes are available. What will you do? Go to KR market with chemicals in your hand, or?
No, but the other thing is, human senses. I would still say that we are very strong with our senses, and it is we call it scientifically the organoleptic properties, which is your smell and taste, and then of course the texture of the fruit. Definitely, even if she is not a our parents did not know what is food safety. But when you look at it in Karnataka, we followed muddy, which was cover your head, take bath before you get into the kitchen. So I would still say that if you are sensitive and you're giving enough time to what you are buying, you're choosing, you're picking up, you still can probably be careful with how you have picked up. When you're eating food, rather than watching television and eating, if you're really looking at what's on your plate, give it the importance it deserves, you can definitely make out the difference between what's fake and what's original. If not, because you really can't ki acha aaj lab testing ho gaya, aaj main abhi ready, let me eat. It's not going to happen.
What you say is
So-
exactly true, because when we go to buy mango even now, we just don't see the color and buy, hey, kg de do. We don't do that, you know. We still take it and smell it. Because I have seen a lot of times when we're just riding by and there's a corner, there's somebody standing and it's looking so pretty. But when I smell it, there's no smell at all. And I say that person, this is not ripe. They say, no madam, it is ripe. I say, I can't smell the ripeness. No, there's a particular aroma that comes out of it. That smell does not come. When the smell does not come, now we are realizing why the smell is not coming. As I was thinking it is not ripe, and the vendor is that guy is telling it is ripe. But now we know why the smell is not coming, because
But
it's
that's
artificially
also
ripened.
because, you know, you probably would have gone with your parents when you were buying mangoes as a child,
yeah.
and you developed. Today, if I take my son shopping, I'm sure he is not going to be able to detect anything.
At least he will Google it.
Even if
At
he
least he might
Googles,
Google
no,
it.
he might still not be like, he would look at something which is shiny, something attractive, something which looks nice.
But that's
You
because
know?
how the advertisement comes. I think the
Exactly.
perception is
So
like
the
that. The
point
advertisement
is-
says that it should look like this.
Yeah.
It should be of uniform color. So you think that is good. So the perception-wise change is also there.
And
You
they
can't be able
also
to go and
have,
take
you
it.
know, the way the food industry is that they know exactly what color combination. Like if you look at today Maya's cover, you know, of food versus what MTR had, they are almost similar colors because you're used to MTR. There's a trust that has got built with it. So if something similar looking comes, you might not really think. Sometimes you might mistake also and you pick it up. So the point is, food industry is the largest, one of the, I would say the top 3 industries. You can't live without food. I think after water and air, you need food. So this is something which is going to flourish, but it's human senses which got to be alert.
But see,
and
how conscious can I be when I'm consuming food? I mean, I trust that thing that comes on my plate. I can't be consciously looking at, okay, how is it tasting? Is it tasting good? Is it not tasting? The thing that we know is whether it's rotten or not. Maximum, that's
no,
the
see,
kind
that's
of
the
food
whole
tasting
difference
that
that you make, that when you are consuming food, if you give it that much of importance, how much time you're spending, at least a minimum of 3 to 4 hours in a day, buying, cooking, consuming. If you put it around, half an hour of eating, maybe if you distribute the 2 hours of shopping that you do in the end.
for that actually.
No.
Everybody takes a lot more people.
we
take
don't.
ready-made.
I mean, I'm.
No,
I'm
even
going
if you're
to get so
taking
conscious
ready-made,
while I'm
no,
having
but
my
even if
food.
you're taking ready-made, you're still going and shopping. You're still picking up, which means this
You've
is
seen,
a sign.
you've
This
seen
is-
them, they just dump it and go.
You
That's
still are spending, this is a calculation I've
Yeah,
done,
yeah.
3 to 4 hours a day on food, whether you like it or not.
We
Okay.
do it.
So when you're doing that, if you can just look at what you're consuming, it's like a lot of times I see these children are eating. So it's basically the child is so engrossed with that cartoon that he's watching, and the mother is just pushing the food down.
Okay, if you're talking about children, but you know, when you get it from home, when you get it from your kitchen onto your plate, you still trust that food.
You trust it, but please give it when you're eating, when you feel the crunch of that particular, you know, texture. When you eat a mango, if it's too pulpy, you'll say, no, this was not fun. You eat an apple which probably is not crunchy, you wouldn't like it. So what I'm saying is, if you develop that sense of the natural thing every time you eat food, you will be able to realize it's just the human sense.
Professor, do you think it's practical? I find it, I don't think so, it could be practical.
Wise, okay, I agree. But when you purchase, you can't bite every mango and see whether it is fine or not. That becomes with every.
What you do is
vegetable-
just, you take that, you just give
check
a,
the quality,
yeah.
the physical quality probably, or visual quality you may check and buy the fruit or a vegetable or anything. And sometimes it so happens you may put some rice grains or something, bite them and see whether it is fully
I'm
stored,
not saying
everything.
that when you're buying raw materials, you do that. See, when you're buying, like she said, maybe you look for the smell. There are, as a
See, the
nutritionist, we know
problem
there are some
is-
things that you got to look for when you're picking up. Like if I'm picking up greens, I know during rainy season, worms would be there. I would be careful looking at it, you know. So it's basically certain requirements that you check when you're picking up a raw material.
Certain
That
requirements.
matters, yeah, the quality factors
Let me get
matters.
Veerabhadra into the, he's been silent,
silent for a
about
long
that.
time.
ವೀರಭದ್ರ ಅವರೇ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ಈ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಏನೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾನಿಕರವಾಗಬಹುದು, ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಅದು ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಲುಕಿಮಿಯಾ ಬರ್ಬೋದು, ಲಿವರ್ ಫೇಲಿಯರ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ತುಂಬ ಕಾಯಿಲೆಗಳು ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಆದರೆ ರೈತರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಏನೂ ತಪ್ಪಾಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗೆ ಅದು ರಾ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೇದು, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸ್ಟೋರಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಇನ್ನೂ ಟೈಮ್ ಬಂದರೆ ಅದು ಸೇಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋ ದಲ್ಲಾಲ್ ಅವರು ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ. ಆದರೆ ರೈತರ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂಡ ಇದ್ರ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಇರ್ತದಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಆ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಹೊರಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ,
ಇಲ್ಲ
ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಹೊರಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ?
ಈಗ ನಾವು ಮಾವಿನ ಗಿಡಕ್ಕೆ 3 ಸಾರಿ ಸ್ಪ್ರೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ನಾವು ಫಸ್ಟು ಲಿಮ್ಡಾ ಮತ್ತು ಸಲ್ಫರು ಈ ಥರದ ಕೆಲವು ರೈತರು ಒಂದೇ ಸಾರಿ ಸ್ಪ್ರೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಕೆಲವರು 3 ಸಾರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. 3 ಸಾರಿ ಮಾಡುವಾಗೂ ಆ ಥರದ್ದು ಏನು ರಾಸಾಯನಿಕವಾಗಿ ಪವರ್ಫುಲ್ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು ನಾವು ಯಾರು ಬಳಸಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಗಿಡಕ್ಕೂ ಏಟಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಗಿಡ ಒಣಗೋಗ್ಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರು ಮಾವಿನ ಗಿಡದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಳಜಿ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಆವಾಗಲಿಂದ ನಾವು ಬೆಳೆದು ತಂದು ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ನಾವು 500 kg 1000 kg ಇಲ್ಲ 1 ಟನ್ನು 2 ಟನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಯುವಂಥ ರೈತರಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಅಂದ್ರೂ ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬ ರೈತ 10 ಟನ್ನಿಂದ 200 ಟನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಯುವಷ್ಟು ರೈತರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೋಲಾರ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸಪುರ ತಾಲೂಕಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದೇನ ದಲ್ಲಾಳಿಗಳು ತೊಗೊಂಡೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಇವಾಗ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಏನಾದರೂ ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಮಾವಿನ ಬೆಳೆ ಪರವಾಗಿ,
ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಅದು ಯಾರಾದರೂ ರೇಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂತು, ಆಯ್ತು ಕೋಲಾರಿಂದ ಬಂತು ಅಥವಾ ಕೋಲಾರ ರೈತರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ.
ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಸರ್ಕಾರ. ಇವಾಗಲೂ ಹಣ್ಣಿನ ರಾಜ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಮಾವಿನ ಹಣ್ಣನ್ನ ವಿಷದ ರಾಜ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕವ್ರೆ. ಅದು ಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಷನ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು. ತಗೊಂಡಾಗಲೇ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟೆಪ್ ಬೈ ಇದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ವಾತಾವರಣ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ.
ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಹೊರಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ.
ಆ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಬರಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸಿಟಿ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಸಿಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 500 ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಕೊಡಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ರೈತರಿಗೆ, ನಾವೇ ಹಣ್ಣು ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಎತ್ಕೊಬಂದು ಮಾರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆನೇ ಬೇಡ ನಮಗೆ. 3 ಏನು ಸೀಸನ್ ಇದೆ ಆ ಸೀಸನ್ನು ಈ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಬೋರ್ಡ್ನವ್ರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. 15 ದಿನ ಇಲ್ಲ 30 ದಿವಸ ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. 30 ದಿವಸಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾಯಿ ಏನೇನೂ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. 10% ಕಾಯಿ ನಾವು ಮರಕ್ಕೂ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. 3 ತಿಂಗಳು ಕೊಡಲಿ, 500 ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಕೊಡಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ. ನಾವೇ ತಂದು ನಾವೇ ಮಾರ್ತೀವಿ. ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ರಿಗೆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ 3 ತಿಂಗಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವೇ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಏನು ಅವ್ರು 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಮಾರ್ತಾರೆ, ನಾವು 50 ರೂಪಾಯಿಗೆ ಮಾರ್ತೀವಿ. ನಮಗೆ 50 ರೂಪಾಯೇ ಸಾಕು. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕೊಡೋದು ಅವರೆಷ್ಟು 20 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಇಲ್ಲ 25 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ 1 kg ಏನು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಆಲ್ಫೋನ್ಸ್ಗೆ. ಅವ್ರು ಮಾರೋದು 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿಗೆ ಮಾರ್ತಾರೆ. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಟಾಲ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಖಾಲಿ 50 ರೂಪಾಯಿಗೆ ಮಾರ್ತೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಸಾಕು. 1 ಟನ್ನಿಗೆ 50,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ನಾವು ದೇವ್ರನ್ನ ನೆನೆಸ್ಕೊಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಂಥ ಒಂದು ವಾತಾವರಣ ಇರೋವಾಗ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಯಾಕೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡಲ್ಲ ರೈತರ ಪರವಾಗಿ? ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು, ಅದು ಏನು 1800 ಅಡಿಯಿಂದ ನೀರು ಮೇಲೆ ತೆಗಿತೀವಿ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಹನಿ ನೀರಾವರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಈಲ್ಡ್ ಬಂದರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ತೂಕ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರುಚಿ ಸಿಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಗೆ ತಂದರೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಾಯಿ ಬೇಡ ರೀ ನಮಗೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಆ ಕಾಯಿನ ತೊಗೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು? 4 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಇವತ್ತು 1 kg ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ತೋತ, ಖಾಲಿ 4,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ 1 ಟನ್ನು, 2,500 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಬರ್ತದೆ. ರೈತ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಬದುಕಬೇಕು? ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಗಮನಿಸಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಮಾಧ್ಯಮಗಳು ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ಕಾರದ ಗಮನ ಸೆಳೆಯೋಂಗೆ ನೀವು ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಾಧ್ಯಮಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೋಂಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. ಆವಾಗಲೂ ಸರ್ಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ರೈತರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕಿಂಚಿತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಇದೇ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರದ್ದೇನಿದ್ರೇನೋ ಅವ್ರದ್ದೇನೋ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ಗಳೇನೋ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದೇನೋ ಭಾಗ್ಯಗಳೇನೋ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದೇನೋ ದಂಧೆಗಳೇನೋ, ಅವ್ರದ್ದೇನೋ ಕಮಿಷನ್ಗಳೇನೋ ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಇರ್ತದೆ ಹೊರತು ನಮ್ಗೆ ರೈತರಿಗೆ ಬೆಳೆಯೋ ಬೆಳೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಬೆಲೆ ಇಲ್ದಿರೋ ಇವತ್ತು ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಆತ್ಮಹತ್ಯೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊತಾರೆ. ಆ ಕಡೆ ಕಬ್ಬಿಗೆ ಬೆಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಕಡೆ ತೊಗರಿಗೆ ಬೆಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಹತ್ತಿಗೆ ಬೆಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಟೊಮೊಟೊಗೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮಾವಿನಕಾಯಿಗೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ರೈತರು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು? ಕೊಡೋ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಪುಕ್ಸೆಟ್ಟೆ ಅಕ್ಕಿ ತಿನ್ಕೊಂಡು ಜೀವನ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೇಕಾ? ಆ ಅಕ್ಕಿ ತಿನ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲ ಶುಗರ್ಗಳು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟ ಇವಾಗ.
Honestly, what kind of food do you get in these places? You're only going to get something which is cheap. And what is cheap? Okay, 2 rupees kilo rice and things like that. He's actually telling the truth.
That also
that actually is deficient.
That is also something that they had grown. Yeah.
And very interestingly, I have a very different take also.
No, because
on
what
this point.
Veerabhadra is trying to say is there is an economic angle to it.
Yes.
And he also is pointing out, see, when we are giving it in the market, we are giving them raw mangoes, because raw mangoes economically make sense for us, especially when it comes to storage, when it comes to transportation. It makes sense for us giving raw mangoes. But the vendors, the middlemen are the ones who are corrupting it. So I asked him that question, what if the trust of people are lost on these mangoes when there is no demand for these mangoes? It is the farmers who are going to suffer. None of these vendors would be there. They would be looking for something else, some other crop they will try to lay their hands on. So it's an economic problem also, because here we are looking at profitability. What I understand from the entire thing is also they believe that if they get those raw mangoes into the market, what is happening is that they initially, if it is not ripened, when it ripens, there will be a glut, there will be a lot of mangoes and there will be a price drop. So none of these middlemen are going to make the kind of money that they expect to make by cheating the farmers. So they don't want that glut to happen in the market. They don't want excessive demand, excessive fruit in the market and the demand being less. So they don't want that kind of a situation. To avoid that kind of a situation, they artificially ripen, create an artificial, sell those mangoes first, create an artificial scarcity, and again they keep bringing in. And later when it comes, the mango season is happening and it's naturally ripened, and therefore it doesn't happen. So the initial bunch of mangoes that come is the actual poison mangoes that are so there.
I have another point here, I don't know if you have thought of this angle altogether.
ನಾವು ಅಷ್ಟು ಕಾಳಜಿ ವಹಿಸಿ ಮಾವು ಬೆಳೆಯೋದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಔಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನು ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗ್ತದೆ, ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಮಾವಿನ ಹಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ ಇದೆ, ಇದು ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಡಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಕಿವಿಗೆ ಬಿತ್ತು ನನಗೆ. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಏನಿರಬೇಕು. ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶ ತಲೆ ತೆಗೆಸುವಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಮಗೆ ಅದು ದುಡ್ಡಿದ್ರೂ ಚಿಂತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮಾವಿನಕಾಯಿ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಫ್ರೀಯಾಗಿ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. ನಾವು ತಲೆ ತೆಗೆಸುವಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಆ ಥರ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಆ ಥರ ಮಾಡೋರನ್ನ ಘೋರವಾದಂಥ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ದೇಶದವರು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶನ ಭಾರತ ದೇಶನ ಚೀತು ಅಂತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಇನ್ನು ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗೇ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಅದೇ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು, ಬೇರೆ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಗಮನವಿಟ್ಟು ಅದು ದಿ ವಿಲ್ ಸರ್ಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಇದು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅವರು ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜನರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡುವಾಗ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಕೆಮಿಕಲಿ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ cocktail that you in fact get when it comes to food as such. So, Mr. Srinivas,
I just wanted to add a point where I wanted to, since he's been handling safety, the other side of it, I am looking at it from a point of bioterrorism. This is a very new thing which has come in, which has been recognized recently, wherein you introduce terrorism through food, through water, through all these channels, wherein you are actually making the population of that country incapable, or give them so many problems. It's like if I'm the kind of, say, traffic scene that is there in Bangalore today. If you are required to probably do some 10 tasks a day, you would refuse it just because the infrastructure is not right. You would say that no, I don't think I can do this 10, I'm only going to do 2 of it. So similarly, when you give so many health problems to Indians, they obviously are not going to be in their best state of mind and body, and they would not really give their best, whatever, whether it's work, to everything. That's how you actually look at progress. Now when you are introducing chemicals into food, this is the easiest way to do it, and if you look at the packets, it's written in Chinese. This is introducing terrorism through food. You introduce this is actually in food safety, we call it as bioterrorism, wherein you introduce a biological system where you probably just leave a variety of diseases inside, spray something into the air which causes health problems and things like that. So this is one way, according to me, of introducing terrorism into and affecting the population.
That's giving ideas to some people.
No, I'm not giving ideas. I truly believe this because I'm sure they're smarter than and I'm sure they're thinking on these lines.
It's quite likely.
We got to see some WhatsApp videos also.
It is.
Where
Nobody's
they show chemicals being used in China, which where like they dissolve it in water, certain amount of water, like even calcium carbide also and others also. They just dip a fruit or a vegetable.
so but what can we do? What is the option before us? Because as far
quality.
as I understand from speaking to all of you, we are kind of helpless. We can't do anything.
No, we
Law
are not
doesn't
helpless.
because law looks at only processed food. It's not looking at the raw food that is coming in. Law is looking at the aspect of not. And probably now they've tightened it. Imprisonment is there, but how is it? That is another. So that's a big question that we have.
As public consumers, we should demand.
Just last week, it's out in the newspaper that food adulteration can actually lead to life imprisonment.
Food adulteration can
Yes.
lead to life imprisonment.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But when it comes to such, see again, the
This is
issue
also
about
adulterating food.
adulteration.
Yes.
But has the law
It's
actually been
yes,
applied
it
on
is.
that manner?
Yes.
It has been
Yes.
applied in that manner.
Just last week it's come out.
Never.
No, execution is more about, it's a long process. So you got to, sir will agree with me, if you have to accuse somebody of somebody, there's a long process.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it's not
But when you see them putting the sachets there, isn't
No,
that
but
how
see,
they-
Even
why
then-
you got to
When
prove
you
it in
give
the
Consumers
Yeah, you have to
demand
prove it,
quality.
na.
Consumer demanding
not that easy,
quality.
na.
Maybe
See, you
then
got-
we
All
give
right.
it a
We'll have to come to the end of the discussion, but Mr. Srinivas, quickly I need to get all your reactions. What is the way forward? Mangoes, we've seen what they do. There are other agri products
Yeah,
also
yeah,
that would
right.
be. What can be done?
Yeah, actually, I don't want to scare everybody. The same applies to watermelons and mosambis. And watermelon, they inject dye into it, and mosambis, they dip it in saccharine water and add
You
color.
said you didn't want to scare it, but anyway, it's scaring
yeah, I'm scaring them. That's why no one invites me for lunch,
Oh, all right.
I'm scared. No, the thing is, okay, on a more realistic thing, first of all, we can't detect it. It's difficult. The labs lack the infrastructure. Most of them lack the knowledge as well. I can do it, but again, I need a 2 crore rupee lab to perform the analysis. It's not easy. Okay, what he said makes practical sense. The farmers, to my knowledge, are innocent. They're not doing it. They don't know, right? It is the middlemen and the other people who know what effect these things have. They are doing it for the sake of money. What he is saying is correct. Bring the farmer directly in contact with the consumer. right? And what Mishra Madam and Dr. Shobha also said, see, the problem is we don't have a basis for comparison. I don't know what an uncontaminated mango feels and looks like. Everything is contaminated in the market. So I don't have the basis for so you provide people with that, that through people like this, when a farmer directly talks to the customer, right? And the customer is sure that this is not contaminated with calcium carbide or anything else. He knows what a clean, unadulterated mango or any other
looks like,
looks and smells like. The organoleptic olfactory test. That's when that is the only practical way out. Infrastructure cost is zero. How much does it cost? That's what he's arguing about. How much does it cost to put in 300, 400 stalls? That too not in one place, across Bangalore. Small like Hopcoms, so many. He's right actually. I would say, at least in our current scenario, given the lack of technical expertise and the lack of infrastructure,
this is a practical.
I can't blame FSSAI. It's not
so,
their fault.
So you're suggesting a direct contact between the farmer
exactly,
and the consumer,
the best
rather
way.
than having these.
You were the correct. He's right actually.
ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸರ್, ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೋಲಾರ ಜಿಲ್ಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ KMF ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನಾಡಿ, ಹಾಲನ್ನ ಕರೆಯುವಂಥದ್ದು ಡೈರಿಗೆ ಹಾಕಿ ಅದರಲ್ಲೇ ಜೀವನ ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಣ್ಮಕ್ಳದೆಲ್ಲ ಅವರೇ ಜೀವನ ಸಾಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. ಅವ್ರೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಪ್ರತಿ ಹಳ್ಳಿನಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಡೈರಿ ತೆಗೆದು ಆ ಡೈರಿ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಹಾಲು ತುಂಬಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಆನ್ ದ ವೇ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲೋ ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಡ್ರೈವರ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಈ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ಧ ಬಗ್ಸ್ತಾನೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅರ್ಧ ನೀರು ತುಂಬಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹಾಲಿಗೆ 2 ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ ಅವನು. ಅದನ್ನ ಎತ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಡೈರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿದ್ರು ಏನು ಆಡಳಿತ ಮಂಡಳಿ, ಅವರು 2 ವೀಲರಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗೋದು, ಆ ಗಾಡಿ ಹಿಂದ್ಗಡೆನೇ ಹೋಗೋದು, ಹಿಂಗೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇವತ್ತು ಮೊದಲು ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿ 100 ಕೋಟಿ ಲಾಸಲ್ಲಿತ್ತು, ಇವತ್ತು ಲಾಭದಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಅದೇ ಥರ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಹಕಾರ ಸಂಘಗಳ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಇವರು ಯಾಕೆ ಮಾವನ್ನ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಮೊದಲಿತ್ತು, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಲಾಭ ಇತ್ತು, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೋ ಬೇಕಾದವರು ಯಾರೋ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಪಾಪ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿಗಳು ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ರು, ಅದನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. ಅದೇ ಥರ ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ಕೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ನೀವು ಸಹಕಾರ ಸಂಘಗಳ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ನೀವು ಮಾವು ಖರೀದಿ ಮಾಡಿರಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಮಾವು ಬೆಳೆಯುವಂಥ ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ರಿಗಳನ್ನ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿರಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ RMCಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಯಾರ್ಡು ಬಂದ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಡಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದರು. ನಿನ್ನೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮ್ಯಾಂಗೋ ಯಾರ್ಡಲ್ಲೇ ನೀವು ಮುಚ್ಚಬಾರ್ದು ಯಾವುದೇ ಕಾರಣಕ್ಕೂ, ನೀವು ಎಷ್ಟಾದರೂ ಕೊಡ್ರಿ, 4 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಡ್ರಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ 3 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಕೊಡ್ರಿ ಕೆಜಿಗೆ, ನಾವು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ತೊಗೊತೀವಿ. ಬಟ್ ಮುಚ್ಚಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡೋದು, ಕಾಯೆಲ್ಲ ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ರೋಡಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಟನ್ ಬಿಡಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಅವ್ರು PWD ಅವರು ಅವ್ರಿಗೊಂದು ಕಡೆ, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅವ್ರೊಂದು ಕಡೆ. ಇದು ನೀವು ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಒಂದು ರೇಟ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಒಂದು 10,000 ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಆ ಒಂದು ಹಣ್ಣನ್ನ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಜ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು.
We get the point as such. We'll have to wrap as of now because we have a paucity of time. But interestingly enough, all of them actually worried about the situation. But again, there is a practical aspect. We don't have the laws as of now to contain the problem, but we can actually practically get the farmer to directly interact with the consumer, and that could probably stop this adulteration that's happening when it comes to your plate. But that is a wrap on this discussion. Thanks very much for joining us in this special regarding the mango situation in the state as well as in the city. With that is a wrap on this discussion. On the other side is a News 9 special.